job.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's a whole financial strategy that has to be taken into consideration, and then also to make sure that they don't run out of money, which is even the scarier part.
Well, that's a great segue into the stories of that happening, right? So I know I get a lot of financial nightmare stories, women contacting me and telling me that the money has run out because everything that you're saying, the bank, the retirement, all of it's been depleted because of the situation that they're in, and nobody's guiding them.
Right.
Right. And this is even them hiring a lawyer. I'm not bashing lawyers either, but not all lawyers are out to help their clients. And that's just the truth, right? There's a lot of lawyers out there that just see their clients as a boat payment or another car payment or house payment. And the only reason I know that is because that's what I get. That's what I hear from women all over the world. So there's that aspect of, because they haven't been guided, now they kept thinking it's going to, well, this is the last 10 grand or 100 grand or whatever it is. And it's going to be over after that. And then it continues and continues and continues and continues. So now they're $650,000 in, $700,000 in. That's the highest amount of money that I've heard on a divorce, which is just insane. What is the highest you've heard that people have spent on a divorce?
A few 100,000,
Yeah.
probably about 100 times three,
Yeah.
100,000 times three.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's
Hmm.
crazy. It's just insane because from our point of view, like, it didn't have to be that way. It doesn't
Yeah.
have to be that way. And again, what you do and what I do is not really like talked about. Like, when people, I see it in groups all the time, Cherese, I'm sure you see it too. Women will say, I just found out that he cheated, or whatever, we're getting a divorce. What should I do? And everybody's like, go get a lawyer, go get a lawyer, go get a lawyer, which is just one fraction of what needs to be done. There is the financial part, which is where you help, and then there's the emotional part. And I'm just like, why isn't this known? Why isn't this talked about in the divorce world?
Yeah. Yeah. And the thing about it is that attorneys are not financial planners, right?
Right.
They can give you the law of how things can turn out or what things look like and what the law is for the state that you live in, but
Right.
they are not financial advisors. So
Right.
you need to have that as part of the equation. And a lot of people go on Facebook and you see these posts or on social media and they're like, I'm going through a divorce. What should I do? And then you see streams of bad advice.
Yes.
And I'm like, no,
Horrible advice.
I'm like,
I
please don't do
know.
that.
I know, I know, I know. It's so heartbreaking because the woman who's reaching out genuinely is feeling lost. Like, I don't know what to do. Yeah. It's, yeah. Well, I know what I say when I see things like that. What do you say to women who are saying things like that?
So
And
it
there's this
depends.
stream, like you said, by the time you see it, there's like 100 comments already. And it's like, is my comment even going to get like seen, or is it going to get lost?
Right. I always feel like the person who posted it is overwhelmed, right? By the time they
Yes.
get to like comment five. First of all, they
Hmm.
were already overwhelmed when they
Right.
posted it. Um,
100%.
nine, 10 times out of 10, they post anonymous, or 9 times out of 10, they post anonymous. So I
Yeah.
always say, you need a strategic plan. I'm your girl, and then I'll post my website or my link. And then
Right.
some people have reached out and have set up a time to call or pass the information on or what have you. Another
Hmm.
thing I do is I actually go in and search like Quadro, um, asset division, stuff like that, and see what people are saying. I got another client recently. Her divorce was in 1999.
Wow.
And people were telling her, oh, if you didn't get your money by now, forget it. Like, you know, you, and I said, I can possibly help you, let's set up a time. And she called, and I was able to track down her quadro for her. And she started getting her money this past month. So she was just
Oh,
so happy.
amazing.
Yeah.
Yes, that's so great.
Yeah.
So
Because people were like, sorry.
for the people like me who don't know what the quadrille is, can you explain that so people
Okay.
understand what you're talking about? Because they may have that and not have the label to it and not even know.
So a quadra is a qualified domestic relations order, which is how the system or the judge divides the retirement assets when you are in a divorce, and or child support assets when you're in a divorce. So what happens is once the asset division is complete, either the attorney or quadro specialist files this paperwork, and
Mm-hmm.
then it's sent to the administration company that holds the money. So let's just say it's Fidelity or Vanguard or whoever.
Mm-hmm.
And then at that time, it's important for the person who's receiving on the receiving end of the quadro to decide if they need money out of that lump sum, or if they're
Mm-hmm.
going to leave everything in there, because that's the only time that they can receive that money without paying the income tax on it.
Oh.
Otherwise, not excuse me, not the income tax, the distribution tax, without them being 59 and a half. After
Mm.
that, Vanguard or Fidelity would set up a separate account for, let's just say, her name is Barbara. Sets up a separate account for Barbara, and then Barbara, once she's 59 and a half, will have access to that fund. And then John's account will be separate from Barbara. So whatever the percentage is will go into Barbara's account. So that's what a quadro is. But in some
Ah,
states, if you don't, if the quadro is not processed in a timely manner, or if it's not done right, then I think you have like 2 or 3 years, and then it can go away. So that's why they were telling this particular woman, oh, you didn't access it by now, it's gone, and this sort of thing. And I'm
right.
like, let me see your paperwork, and if they have the paperwork that it was divided and put into this account, if the payor switches jobs a few times, that could be hard because sometimes the money follows them. And
Right.
sometimes the company that they work with switches names and or administrators. So then you got to call the
Mhm.
first one, then you got to call the second one, you got to call the third one, then you're on
Right.
hold, then you get cut off. And so it's frustrating to the spouse who is looking to withdraw their money. So it makes it a little bit tough. Yeah.
Right. Wow. Great. Well, congratulations to you and your client. That's amazing that you did that from 1999. See,
Yes.
anything is possible. This is my whole thing. I'm like, like you said, let's just look at it because anything is possible. Let's not just close the door on this just because it was from 1999, or you're getting this slew of comments that are like, throw in the towel. It's not going to happen if it hasn't happened by now. Because like miracles happen every single day.
Every day.
Stranger things have happened, right? As they say, like, who knows? But if you don't look at it, if you don't like investigate it, then how would you know?
Right. Right.
Yeah. Great. So you serve women. Do you
Yes.
have like a certain demographic, like age, things like that? Obviously, going through the divorce.
Going through the divorce, the age doesn't matter because most times they need some type of structure and
Hmm.
financial advice as to where to put their money and how they need to make the best use of it. So
Hmm.
there is no particular age. My age group that I serve is between 30 and 75. Those are the age groups
Wow.
that, yeah. So everyone has different things going on at different times of their life. And
Hmm.
then as they get older, they also might be going through something called a medical divorce, where they are getting divorced because a spouse is ill. And
Really?
they don't want to either be responsible for the medical cost, or it might be too much to deal with, or what have you. So there's a lot of different things going on out here that are not being addressed, particularly by, let's say,
Okay.
society, but the powers that
Right.
be.
Right. So for medical divorce, are you saying that they divorce from the financial obligation, or do they
Correct.
divorce the person?
The person. It's a divorce.
So both. So they're divorcing the person and the financial obligation.
Yes.
Oh, interesting.
Hmm.
Never heard of the medical divorce. That is so interesting.
Right?
Wow. Divorce is a whole world.
It is. It is. It really, really is.
It is. And from my perspective, there's three parts to the divorce, right? And well, there's two
Hmm.
sections, which is the business and the emotional.
Hmm.
But within the business, there's two sections, which is what you do, the financial part, and then the legal part, and then there's the emotional part.
Right.
So I don't, I get stories from women with the financial stuff, but not the details of, like you're saying, like medical and things like this. So that's super interesting. Never knew that. Yeah. So
So
that's who you serve. Go ahead.
yes. Uh-huh. So I was going to ask you, who do you serve and help in the process, and what does that look like when you hear
So I'm all
about?
about the emotions. I'm
Okay.
all about, so who I serve is women, and my age is, I say 45 to 55, but I have had some younger women come to me and some older women come to me. Um, and they come to me super frustrated. They either know it's going to be a high conflict divorce and they're about to walk into it, and so they need that emotional support, or they are in the high confrontational divorce. So I've had women who've come to me who've already been arrested for assault, already had their kids taken away, or on visitation. um, like the crap has already
Right.
happened, and I focus on, for them, is how to calm their nervous system and
Mm,
calm their triggers, so that when the divorce attorney or niece and the ex throw their games, narcissistic behavioral games, whatever, um she remains calm, she remains in control, right? And so, because with that, with my experience with my clients who've come to me in both situations, before the divorce, during the divorce, getting her emotions under control and having control over her emotions, even when shit hits the fan, um, they have a successful divorce,
right.
and they come out of it like, whoa, in a good way. Whoa, like, whoa, I didn't think he was going to react that way. I didn't think this was going to happen. Like, whoa. Which is, so amazing to be a part of that and to help and guide somebody through that and get those types of results. It's so satisfying.
How did
So
you decide that you wanted, and or that this was needed? Like, what was the, let's say, aha moment for you?
interesting question. It's a long story, but I'm going to keep it really short.
Okay.
So, when I left my 22-year toxic relationship, my divorce was nothing like that. I literally moved 3 states away from him with a futon couch and an air mattress, wanting nothing from him, didn't ask for diddly squat. However, I did manifest $10,000 to leave. This was back in 2011. And I came here to North Carolina, and I had been running his business in Florida. So when I came here, I was like, yeah, I don't like this job thing. Get up in the morning and I have like 30 minutes for a lunch. No. Where's that echo coming from?
I'm not sure. This. Oh, hold on. Got it.
Oh, okay. I was like, all of a sudden I hear my voice. So I started to explore, like, what can I do? Because I didn't want to do the same thing I was doing for his business. And so the universe loves, to bring you what you're asking for. So this gorgeous blonde shows up in my Facebook feed. She's like, I can show you how to create an online business and la 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 la. And I was like, great, free. I love it. $10,000 plus later, I created an online audience, which led me to talking about my past and what I had been going through. But what really, and these women were coming to me wanting help with their trauma. And so in the beginning, I didn't know what to give them, how to help them, because I hadn't healed my trauma. So long story short, it came to where I was dialing in on who I could help, right? And it was women who had gone through or are going through narcissistic abuse. So then I started to attract clients like now that are in the relationship that have already had like a lot of stuff happen, and still are not divorced. And so I started helping them with purely just showing them how to have, you know, sovereignty over their emotions. And they're winning. I'm getting testimonies right and left of this one got this and this one, testimonies I got more than what I was asking for. So I was like, wow, okay. And then my business turned into true love after toxic love. And that's who I would talk to, the woman who is out of the relationship, already divorced, even though I had those testimonies. At that time, I didn't want to be attached to the word divorce. I don't know. It was a trigger for me. And then it was not last year, but the year before, higher level of energy downloaded to me to talk to change all of my marketing, to change everything and talk to them in the relationship. So I can't argue with the higher.
Right.
Yeah. I was like, okay, this doesn't make sense to me right now, but I'm going to do it. And so
Right.
I did. I changed everything and started only talking to the women who were in the relationship, who needed help to get out of the relationship successfully. So that was like we're talking about divorcing successfully. And so I tell women, like, I cannot give you financial or legal advice. I'd be lying to you if I did. That's not my forte. It's not my expertise. Where my zone of genius is in the emotional part, to get your emotions under control so that no matter what's being said, no matter what's coming at you, you remain calm, courageous, and confident during this entire process. So that's who my client is now. That's who I help. And that's how I help them, is literally just getting their emotions under control so that, because narcissistic behaviors, it's very A, B, like C, D, like we know when you do this, they're going to do this.
Right.
Right. And
Right.
now, depending on how she responds, because before she comes to me, she's reacting because she's
Mm-hmm.
triggered. How she responds is what the next move is. It's like it's like a chess game, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's
Yes.
what the next move that they're going to make. And we already know how she responds, having that calm, confident, courageous energy. We already know how he's going to respond. So she's ahead of the game, right? She's no longer losing the chess game. She's now winning the chess game, because from my point of view, she's one step ahead of him, at
Mm-hmm.
least one step
Mm-hmm.
ahead of him. So that's who I serve and how I help them divorce successfully.
Which is so important, because what happens when the emotions take over, you can't think straight. You
Yeah.
make poor decisions. You're reacting, right, and
Mm-hmm.
instead of being proactive, you're being reactive to scenarios.
Yep.
There might be some procrastination in there because of fear,
Right.
and then it just becomes this whole big debacle, right? Like that could have went another way, but instead,
Absolutely.
it's this whole blow up and everyone's mad and angry and that sort of thing. And
Yep.
with your help, you can help them master their emotions and kind of keep things intact and
Yeah.
play that chess game the way that it needs to be played, which is awesome. I love that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's super rewarding to get testimonies from my clients that have, gone to mediation one time and got 51 of the 55% that she was asking for in the real estate and walked away with, over a couple $1 million in real estate when he was saying, well, if I have to move, so does she, meaning
Right.
let's sell the house. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, I don't want to move. This is, or other situations I've had women who it was their house before they got into the relationship. It was her house. She bought the house. She worked hard for that house. He moved in and they got married. So now it's technically their house. Well, now he's threatening her because that's what they do, right? Money and children. Those are the first two things that they go for. And if there's no children, then it's only money. But if there's both, they go after both, like flies on crack, like a barracuda, full force, wide open, right? And so she reached out to me, and she actually never became my client. This is an interesting story. This is a woman down in Florida. We had a call, and I told her what needs to happen and how she needs to show up. And she did it. She took the advice. She did it. And I randomly get a text, like, I don't remember, a couple months later. And she was like, good morning, gorgeous. I won. I got my, I get to keep my house and this and that. And I was like, what? How did that happen? We didn't even like work together. So those are amazing testimonies as well. So there's
Love it.
situations like that where it is her house. She had the house before they got married. That should be like a black and white, no brainer, like it's her house type of
Right.
situation. But because they were married, and this is how clever a narcissist is, male or female, right now we're talking about a male, where they know if I get married, this is my house. This is my house, right? So they do these things in preparation, just like how they're very good listeners in the beginning of the relationship, because and it seems like, oh, he loves me, he cares about me, he's really listening to all of. No, he's using what you're saying as ammo for later down the line. He's kind of filing it in his file cabinet, because later down the line he's going to use your vulnerability and what you're sharing with him against you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's exactly what happened.
Yeah. When you study the personality traits, because I don't diagnose, but I do use the word. When you know like how they are, it's really not hard at all to divorce successfully, even in a very high conflict divorce, even if somebody's been arrested, even if like all the shit hit the fan. Yeah.
It's amazing. Like when you said like the words and the things that are said, one of my takeaways during my process is like, get it in writing. Like, so now I tell my clients, tell them, put it in writing and sign it. Like, no more talking. Like, we're done talking. Because if it's not in writing, it never happened. It never existed. And it just doesn't matter when you get in front of the judge, because they don't even want to hear it.
Right. Yep. Exactly. And then I have, so the $650 one that I was mentioning before, her whole situation is she spoke out against the judge. We're going to go down a whole nother rabbit hole.
Oh.
She spoke out against the judge, and the judge is retaliating on her. So the narcissistic behavior does not begin and end with the ex, or possibly the ex's
whole process.
Right. So there's a real like term, legal abuse, where these people, man or woman, goes into the process of divorce. They think they're divorcing the abuser, and then they walk into even more abuse with the whole system and the people in the system, and it turns into like literally a nightmare. I won't even use shit show, a nightmare, a living nightmare. It's horrible. And so 3 years, she's been trying to divorce him for 3 years. They're already up to $650,000. 3 years. Imagine what another 3 years is going to be. right? Over $1 million easily. And
Easily.
what happened was she passed out in the mediation. And because she passed out, they're saying, she has to, I think it was mediation, she has to still pay for all the la 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 la. And then they want proof, like a medical expert to give documentation that she actually passed out. And they want a word I never even heard of, other kind of documentation. Basically, they're asking her for ridiculous things to prove what she's saying is true. And it's all because she spoke out against the judge. And yeah, so there's another aspect to divorce, of the financial, the emotional, the legal, attorney part, and then going into the legal system. And that's why it's called a system. And then there's legal abuse there that can possibly happen. Doesn't always happen, but it's possible.
I can't imagine the level of trauma that
Exactly.
she had to continually relive, right? Now, you're going through this process and then you have this medical episode. And now, on top of everything else, because maybe they felt like they were being held up or, whatever. Now she has to prove that this is what really happened. And it could have just been the stress. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
absolutely. Overwhelmed,
Or
stress
overwhelmed.
the
Like,
F out. Yeah.
yeah, your nerves just like
Yeah.
check out. They're like, we're done. Like, you're pushing us to the edge. This is too much. Like,
And your
you had
body
too much
responds.
caffeine. There's not enough
Mm-hmm.
water. We're shutting it down, and you
Mm-hmm.
just go
Yep.
down. And
Yep.
sometimes it's not funny, but I tell my daughter sometimes, like, I'm like, okay, I gotta get some OJ or some apple juice real quick because I'm about to go down. You
Yeah, you can
you
feel
feel
it sometimes. Yeah.
it. Yeah. But
Yeah.
that's not something you want to continually relive on top of all the trauma that you're dealing with, you
Right.
know, transitioning out of this relationship. And the hardest part of all of that is if you have children together, you still have to deal with this person
Right.
for the rest of your life.
Right.
So,
I.e., get the emotions under
yeah.
control.
So that's what I was going to ask you. Like, so how do they feel like when like, I don't think so. Initially, when they're going through it, right, they're not thinking about that.
I know.
Oh, we've got kids. We're going to have grandchildren. Like, there's going to be graduations. They're going to be all this stuff, right? So how do you,
Birthdays, weddings.
yeah,
Yes. All of it.
what do you say?
Yeah. I just show them. I show them how to get their emotions under control so that whatever he does, he's going to do what he's going to do. There's no
Period. Point blank.
changing how they're going to be. The only
Mhm.
change that happens is within her, of how she responds to his behavior. Because when she responds differently than she had before, so basically, when women come to me, they come to me in what I call mother energy. And what mother energy is she loves too much, she gives too much, she does too much. And so when we're in that energy, and I say we because I was too, when
Right.
we're in that energy, we attract childlike energy in men, in
Mm.
relationships. So these men who are acting narcissistic or like a victim, where they're blaming her for everything, when they show up this way, and then you go to divorce them, the childlike behavior doesn't stop. It heightens, it gets worse. So I show them how she is no longer showing up like in the mother energy, so that she's showing up in her woman energy. And in woman energy, and it's like this scale, right? There's the scale of emotions that we have. We have the dense emotions, the heavy emotions like fear, shame, blame, guilt, all of those emotions. And this is how they come to me in those emotions. And I show her how to scale up the emotional scale to the top, where she's, like I said, calm, confident, courageous, so that she's a different she energetically, she's a different person.
Right.
And by her showing up differently, he reacts to her differently. It's
Hmm.
literally like magic. So I have a client right now who's going through the divorce. She came to me first before she even hired the attorney, before she had him served. And she keeps telling me, Denise, I wasn't expecting him to show up like this, meaning he's showing up differently in a good way than she was expecting. She was expecting him to show up angry, resentful, fighting. He hasn't done any of that. And I told her, I said, that's because you worked on your emotions and your triggers before you went through this process. And so she's going to be what I call a one and done divorce, one retainer fee, done.
Right.
No $300,000, $600,000, $700,000 divorce. $10,000.
Dragging things out. Yeah.
One and done. And it's that. So he also, again, this type of behavior, they got all kinds of tricks in their pockets. And then don't forget, for the people who are listening, don't forget they have a whole family rallying behind them that's also feeding them, do this and do that, right? Another element of the toxic behavior. So all of a sudden he comes to her and he says, well, I hired a lawyer too, right? After she had him served and all of this, I hired a lawyer too. And she was like, really? Because I know he doesn't even have $10,000 in his account. So where did he get the money from? Maybe his parents hired the lawyer. I don't know. But he came up with this great idea. How about we just both fire our lawyers and we work this out ourselves? And she was like, yeah, no. But these are the types of exactly. These are the types of scenarios. And what she's asking for in the decree or the paperwork, I don't even know what it's called, is not unreasonable. It's not at all. She's not saying, you can't have your son. Basically, the arrangement that they already have is just going to continue. So she's not being ridiculous. She just wants, the not to be married to him anymore.
Right.
Because they have a child. They have a young baby together. Aww. Yeah. Well, two, but yeah, young toddler. So yeah, there's the soon to be ex that they're dealing with. And I'm sure you get this too, right? There's the soon to be ex they're dealing with, his or her attorney, and then the family, their family. Yeah.
And, so this is probably a topic for another day, but so like the ego, right? And then you have the family, whether it's a sister or a mom. A lot of times the brothers really I don't really hear brothers with their brothers too much. Brothers with sisters, yes.
Right.
But the mom has a crucial role in the way that the husband or soon to be ex-husband has showed up over life, right?
Yep.
And is showing up now.
Yep.
And because of that mother energy, maybe, I don't know, I'm not a psychiatrist, but it's like they never transfer out of that to empower him to be the best person. So it's just kind of like, you're my baby all the time, and he's looking at that from a perspective from a spouse, and it's like, no, she's not your mom. She is your spouse. Like,
right. The enabling behavior.
Yes. Yep. So it causes all this confusion within their mind as to how they're supposed to show up and what they're supposed to do and how they're supposed to speak and behave and all that other stuff. And it just causes chaos. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, totally. And that's in this case too. And in a lot of cases, because there's a lot of women who have sons who've raised sons to be like this, enabling. Oh, just try it again. He didn't mean it, right? This is what they say, like, just give him one more try. He'll be better. I think 7 years of the same behavior escalating into worse is all I need to know that it's not going to get better.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. the moms do play a big role with the enabling, if they're that type of mom that enables. And the reason why, that was interesting you just said that, Cherese, because the reason, in my opinion, the reason why you don't hear too much of the brothers intersecting with the whole thing is because men are naturally, like, they're thinkers, the problem solvers, masculine energy. They're not emotional. We're the ones. We're the emotional ones. We're the ones who try to get in and try to um, bring the emotions. Yeah, men are just more of thinkers and problem solvers, and so they come from that aspect versus the emotional piece.
Which is interesting because the type of work, with the numbers that I do is it's not an emotional thing, right? It's
Right.
black and white. Like these are the numbers. The numbers are the numbers, and there's nothing that we can do about it. And I
Mm-hmm.
think coming from that perspective of having empathy and understanding what they're going through, but at the same point, it's like, okay, I get it and I understand, but this is the reality of the matter. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I cannot cry on the phone with you. Like
Right.
I gotta tell you, like this is how much you're going to spend if you're doing this. So you need to
Right.
make sure you take care of this. You need to make sure you have your coverage. You need to make sure that your life insurance is everything is going to be starting new if it's not transferring. So there's deadlines that you're going to have to meet, and let's get it done now. And if you need help with that, I'll help you. But otherwise,
Right.
I'll listen, but I'm like, I'm not gonna cry with you on the phone. I'm sorry, I can't do it.
Right.
I can't.
Send them to me. I'll cry with them on the
Yes.
phone. I'll empower them. I won't cry with them on the phone.
Yes.
I'll have empathy and sympathy and compassion, but I will empower them so that they can
Right.
show up stronger, so they're not crying on the phone with you, right? So that they come
Right.
to you in this space of, okay, let's do this. This is the
Right.
piece of the puzzle. This has to be done. Let's do this.
Right. And I'll tell them flat out, I think I don't want you to think that I'm being cold or I'm on his side or anything like that,
Right.
because that's not it. I have to give you an objective opinion on the money, period.
Right. Right.
And I am looking out for what's in your best interest, but realistically, I have to give it to you straight. Like I can't sugarcoat. There's nothing to sugarcoat.
Right. Right. Exactly. Yeah. So we've been on here over 40 minutes, and I just want to share with the audience, like if anybody has any questions, type them. I'm looking, Cherese, I guess you could look at yours too on your Facebook. And if anybody has any questions for Cherese or myself, you can ask, and we're more than happy to answer them for you. Um, I just wanted to put that out there, see if anybody had any questions, and that will answer them for you. So I'm just refreshing my pages to see. And yeah, we got some shares going on. Thank you, Keely. And we got a few people watching. So just want to make sure that if anybody is listening to us and has like this burning question for the financial part or the emotional part, you could type it in the comments or DM us and ask away, and we'll answer them for you. And we won't say any names. I know I have some people like, because the thing about divorce is there's still, to this day in 2024, there's still a lot of shame and guilt around divorcing.
Oh, the stigma it's awful.
I failed, I screwed up, especially when it's not the first one, when it's the second one or the third one, or they had a long-term relationship and this is the first marriage, and maybe, there's just all kinds of stuff. And yeah, there's nothing to be ashamed of.
Right. You
It's
have
it's your decision.
you might have married friends or couple friends that you did things together with, and it's no
Yep.
longer the same anymore, and that the two on the other side are kind of divided as to if they're going to stay friends with you or not, and your whole life changes, your whole circle changes, and it, it's an experience that you really need some hand holding through. So
Yes.
I'm so happy that you do what you do.
I'm so happy you do what you do because I don't
Yes.
do what you do. I'd be like, not my forte
Yes.
at all. Go to Cherese. Um, but yeah, it is a game changer. It is, and also what people may not realize is that divorce is like a death. There's a grieving process to go through. And I post this all the time because I want women, and I'm talking to women because that's who my clientele is. So guys, love you. You want my services? DM me. But that's who I talk to. And I have women who don't realize, like, you're not just divorcing your ex, you're divorcing the part of you, the version of you who was in that relationship. Because after you divorce, whether you consciously know it or not, you're a different person.
Mm-hmm.
And not just the labels, like you're going from MRS to MS, Mrs. to Mrs., right? It's a whole identity. Like, who am I now that I'm not his wife? I know I went through this. I was like, well, who am I now that I'm not his wife? My kids were grown up. And who am I now that I'm not like the mom of these two young kids? Who am I? Because I had even always introduced myself as his wife. I wouldn't say my
Right.
name first. I'll be like, oh, I'm so and so's wife, or I'm so and so's mom. Like at school and stuff, never saying I'm Denise. And
Right.
so there's a lost identity in these types of relationships where now they're going through the divorce and now they're really confused because who am I now that I'm not his wife, or the kid, maybe the kids are growing up or whatever. And that's the real like feeling of death. It's the death of the identity of who you were in the relationship and now out of the relationship. So there's a whole process emotionally of the death, the grieving process of divorce. Even if, like, I left my ex, I'm the one who initiated, I'm the one who left. So even if they're initiating it and they're the ones who said, yeah, I'm done, I'm checking out of this relationship, there's still that process of grieving the death of, because I'm hoping that nobody gets married thinking there's going to be a divorce. I'm
Right.
thinking everybody gets married thinking this is the one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Forever. We're in love. This is forever. So there's that whole idea of we're going to grow old together. We're going to have grandkids. We're going to do like the whole, um, you know, rock sitting in the porch and the rocking
On a rocking
chairs.
chair.
Yeah, like that whole thing. And now that's gone. And so there's
It,
that a death.
and I coined that on my webpage as being a virtual widow.
Mm,
But the hardest part of that, we discussed it earlier, is that you still have to deal with the person if you have children together. But
yeah,
the grieving process, like everything that a widow goes through, so does a divorcee
yeah,
on both sides.
yeah.
So, we have to give ourselves some grace, right, during this process,
Mm-hmm.
and know that we'll get through it. And I was told it takes a solid 5 years. And it may seem like a long time, but it goes by like this.
Mm-hmm.
But it takes you 5 years before your mentals and everything is renewed. And I say back
Right.
to normal because you're not the same person you were
No, you'll
when you
never be
went
the
in.
same. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And I always, every workshop that I teach, no matter what I'm talking about, I make it a point to tell the woman that no matter what type of relationship you're in, whether it's a family relationship, a friendship, or a romantic relationship, it's going to end one or two ways. Either
Mm-hmm.
the relationship is going to sever or somebody's going to pass away, and you need to be prepared for both.
Right. Yep. Because it's a trauma.
Yeah.
Even a divorce that she initiated and she's like, I'm done, it's still a trauma. Just like the
Yes.
loss of somebody, whether you knew that person was, the end was near, maybe they had
Mm-hmm.
health issues and you knew the end was near, it's still a trauma. that's a whole nother rabbit hole that we could go down about
Yeah.
how traumas in our lives are dismissed and like, just get
Mhm.
over it. And like, lots of people divorce or lots of people lose their spouse, and it's just part of life. You just got to get over it and not
Mhm.
really looking at it as a trauma, and that it is a wound that needs to be healed.
Right. Right. Mhm.
Yeah, exactly. Well, how can people get in touch with you, Cherese, if they need your services for the financial part of the divorce?
So they can reach out via my website, and I'm going to type it in the chat actually. It's
Okay.
www dot she w www dot she wealth
She
dot
Wealth. I love that.
net, which stands for
Yeah.
savvy, healthy, and empowered.
Oh, okay. I love that.
Yes. Thank you.
And
And
so they can contact you there. That's your website. Is there any specific place you want them to go to check out, or go straight to the contact me part?
they can go to the contact me. I also put my telephone number in the chat, which receives text messages. So there's a
Mhm.
contact me form, and then there's an info section where they can put exactly what is needed. And then I'll get back to them and we can schedule a time for a consultation to see what is needed on the financial
Awesome.
end of that. Yes.
Awesome. Awesome. So for the ones listening that need the emotional piece in place, you can DM me here on Facebook, or you can go to my website, which is still trueloveaftertoxiclove.com. And also there's a contact me tab thingy that you click, which gives you all of the ways that you can contact me. Or if you're on Facebook, you can just go straight to the DM and say, hey, I saw you and Cherese on doing a live, and I would like to talk to you. I always offer a 30-minute free, no cost, no obligation to work with me, consultation, total breakthrough clarity call. And yeah, so they can take advantage of that, which is really good. Yeah. Because like I said, even sometimes that's all it takes for somebody. Just take that one call and boom, she got the divorce. Um,
Right.
yeah, she still needs to heal from that experience and getting into another relationship, which she has, and it's already broken up. And I'm like, girl, come on. But this level, the emotional level, I know from my experience and my clients' experience, for you, there's no they got to get ready. There's I got to do this. I
Yeah.
have to get the finances. For
Yeah.
the emotional part, they have to be ready to heal this emotional part, to go through the emotional part. They got to be ready for this,
Hmm.
because it's not I mean, it is definitely a necessity for the divorce part, but there's a lot of women that they're just not ready to face that stuff. And
Right.
so unfortunately, they choose the hard way to go through it versus what would be the easier way, just because they're afraid to face that stuff. And then it always shows up. It'll come up in
Hmm.
somehow, some way. But yeah, that's how they can get in touch with us.
Awesome.
Yeah. And we'll
This
be here
is
next Tuesday, 12 noon Eastern
12
time.
minutes.
Yeah. And we're going to continue to show up here every Tuesday at noon. So if you're listening on the replay, hey, hashtag replay, let us know what you think. If you have any questions, let us know. And also, Cherese, I always say this, I'm sure you're open to this. If you have a topic that you want Cherese or myself to cover, DM us or comment down below and say, can you cover this topic, or can you talk about this topic, and let us know, and we'll copy paste and use your question or your topic for our next one.
That sounds great.
Yeah. All
Yes.
right.
Yes. All right.
Everybody have a great Valentine's Day, Tuesday, or no,
Yes.
today's Wednesday. Oopsies. The hair's blonde for a reason. We'll see you next Tuesday, but happy
Yes.
Wednesday.
Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you. See you
Okay.
later.
All right. Bye.
Bye.